And why we want to meet on a weekly basis to discuss the same theme of self versus non-self. In so many ways, we are only contemplating upon one and only one discrimination. We are not talking about boyfriend-girlfriend matter. We are not talking about conflict in our professional situation. We are not talking about how to deal with death or disease in the family or with the person self. We are not talking about how to cope with the aging process that seems to be gnawing away at us. We are not talking about any of these matters which bring about existential suffering. And every week you listen to your teacher's words about what is satsang, that it fosters spiritual dialogue and it gives you potent ways of ending existential suffering. And yet all we talk about is the same thing. And most of this text will be based around not what is the self, but it will be an exposition into what is not the self. Because what is self-evident and the only truth need not be proved and found anywhere. In fact, it is our misapprehension and our misidentification with what we are not, which is the cause of our suffering. Are you understanding? So, a great tradition began in the Vedas of sitting with a teacher and discussing some unique shastric or from our shastra, from our grantha, some unique insights so that we can gradually contemplate upon them, test them out in the reality of our life, and therefore take ownership of them, and gradually start moving more and more towards the self. But I am contradicting myself. Can we move towards the self? When I am the self, can I move towards the self? Actually, this is all English language. And this is language in general. For the mundane, ordinary mind. Move this way, move that way. Move a little subtle, don't move gross. Don't move there, move here. Hang out here. Actually, when all moving ceases, the one that is self. The moving of the body and where all it moves, in what all august company, and the moving of the mind doesn't stop. So, yet the body and the mind are moving at the behest and at borrowed power of the self. So when the moving stops and there is some very specific contemplation on where I will find myself. So it is internal, it is a unique paradigm shift where I have become identified first and foremost with the society. When I was born and people who saw me said, how pretty, how ugly, how fat, how thin. How boring, how interesting. How intelligent, how dull. I became that. And I think in this satsang, one contemplation we are getting through Vivekachudamani is I am not that. So first is what the society, what the world, what this Maya world has layered upon me. And then because every impulse of my consciousness, because I am the master, my body moves, ready to move. My mind sparks, ready to stimulate and move. I started thinking I am the body. When I'm a child, I am the body. And then when I'm an adult, I realize I am the mind-body complex. Living in the society, and as I mentioned to you earlier, again and again it deserves repetition. This mind-body complex with a specific name and role in society, it becomes the jiva, becomes the conditioned consciousness. It is an infinite consciousness. The self has infinite power, infinite choice, and yet, as if due to a certain misapprehension, I was caught up in believing that I am limited by my body, limited by my mind, or unlimited by my body and unlimited by my mind. Actually, what happens is when we are in youth and we are in puberty and our hormones are racing, that same body and mind seem to make us unlimited. Have you seen that? And then we start having menopause and some arthritis. This couple of divorces, a few heartbreaks, some deaths. The same mind and body start limiting us. Do you see that? Either way, it is a very specific kind of a boxed phenomenon. When our Shastra, Ayurveda, Yoga and Vedanta remind us that we are forever unboxed. Forever. Even in that moment of boxed reality, this is a matter of a great delusion, a great misapprehension. The misapprehension has come about because such is the nature of existence on this loka called earth. In fact, this whole universe that I see, whatever I see physically, I am not. Whatever I can conceive of mentally, I am not. Whatever I can intellectualize through my intellectual process, I am not. Then who am I? If all of this I am not, neti, I am not. Well, that begins with first unwinding myself away from what I had thought I was. And then I who observes this universe, I who observes this body, I who observes this mind and yet remains forever unchanged, unaffected, unafflicted, uninfluenced and unbound, I am that. But this can all sound like words. And that is why we are having a text in our hand with 580 shlokas to repetitively bring about a change. Because what happens is when we have spiritual talk and we come across some very good speaker, there are some very good speakers. They're not ordinary. What will happen is we get excited. So we make external changes. We vow, I will go to the temple. I will become regular at the church. I will do seva. Oh, very good. I will get up in the morning. Shunya wants me to do 108 Gayatri, I will do it. 1 month I'll do it, 2 months I will do it. We are able to do those changes. But an internal work, which is the real work, where a negative thought comes because I have a little silence from being caught up in the world, caught up in the body, caught up in the mind, caught up in my jiva, caught up in other jivas, and all that Maya drama. Can I call it Maya drama? Good or bad? So much. I'm judging others, or I'm feeling judged, I'm being aggressive, or I'm being a victim, or I'm just feeling blank, or I'm feeling numb. You've seen that? Yeah? So therefore what happened was, in this middle of this Maya drama, this tiny little thought came in. And the thought is a negative thought. But because we are caught up, we didn't look at it. And after that, this negative thought gathered strength. And now it's not just a thought, it's a river. And slowly this thought starts separating us from whatever we learned last Thursday. You understand? So what happens is, we need a repetitive hearing, shravanam. And then after repetitive shravanam, bring your ears. Not just the ear, physical ear. Because you can have your physical ear. I will say, Shanti, is your ear here? She will say, check. I will say, Gopi, is your ear here? Check. But Shanti may be thinking, did I put the dal I made in the refrigerator before I came? Then, when the mind, manaha, manas, connects with the indriya, the sense organ, only at that time communication can take place. You understand? Mind has to go and sit next to the ear to hear. So Shravanam means hearing with the sankalpa, with the sacred decision to hear. To Shravan. It is not a physical ear's presence, all present. 60 pairs of ears present. But 6 people may be doing Shravanam. Now, when we truly hear without judgment, of course we have pre-examined, and we are welcome to examine every week if this is a forum to return to, because that's discrimination. However, once we are here, then every time the thought goes to the refrigerator, bring it in back, and being in yoga with the voice that is coming. And the words, not only the sound, but the meaning is coming through each word. Even now, as I am talking, if you focus slightly on not only the sound of your teacher's voice, but the meaning that is coming to you, and who is listening? Who is listening? Your Atman is listening. Who is benefiting from this satsang? The true self. That self which has been bound, which has been confused, which has suffered, which has had many other yonis or wombs. That which Shankaracharya congratulated in the first 3 shlokas itself. You got a human body. And yesterday our guest teacher, eminent Acharya Raghuramji, beautifully explained how differently the consciousness changes from stone to plant to animal to human. And so to have that unique human consciousness, to be able to receive, to be able to then change your life script. There are living plants in the kitchen. They are also listening because they are Panchma Bhautik. They are part of this scheme of things. But they cannot exactly change their life script. They cannot change their life direction. But we can. So when we do Shravanam and we not only listen to the we not only listen to the sound, but we also get the artha, the meaning, and with each meaning we allow it to fall deeper and deeper without any but no, I don't want to hear this. I am closing because we have now decided I want to surrender myself to what? To Shruti, to those words which are coming from the sages. Those blameless sages who did not ask for credit, who did not ask for money, who did not ask for even name or fame. They just gave us this knowledge, and when we apply even 1% of it, we have relief from the constant existential pressure that we experience. So we human beings, when we come into satsang, the reason we keep reminding you in that one paragraph about satsanga alleviating existential suffering, my desire is to remind all of us collectively that we are not meant to be living under all this pressure. After all, if there is a plant and it doesn't have right sunshine, it doesn't have right water, if there is a food is cooking next to it and greasy smoke is coming out, will it bloom? Its natural tendency of blooming will be destroyed, or it will go and become latent inside the seed. Have you seen that? How in non-conducive environment, the plant becomes latent, the seed becomes potent with potential, but it has all become latent. Have you seen that? In the same way, we human beings, when we are suffering and suffering, we become habitual as if this is the way it should be. And then when we seek solutions within that smoky-filled environment, within that polluted air and polluted sun, saying, if I shift this man with this man, or this woman with this woman, this job with that job, this I sell this house, I buy that house. I don't live on land. I have some patient who says, I can't decide if I should come to the land or live on the boat. Where you exist. Shunyaji, I'm waiting for your response. I have to decide. I want to say, jump in the water. Chalo, take, Jala Samadhi. Just say, then you will be in the perfect place. Can't decide. I had sent you an email 20 days ago. You have not responded. You don't realize I live on a boat off of the coast of Mexico, but the land is calling me. But then when I'm on the land, the boat calls me. Now I have these are real letters. One day I will publish them when I get permission. So I have decided to leave it to you. You are my guru. This is the modern day guru. Decide, boat or land. So that when I have problem, I can write to you. You wouldn't give me right advice. So what happens is, I gave you, it's a real story. It's a very serious story because one very big human resource is on the water alone. Water alone. In the hot weather, unsure of I belong to land or water. Existential suffering. Now, we can say land or water. We can say that. However, this is what I mean by finding solution within that smoky filled room, and shall we call that smoke Maya. I'm talking like this because I received 1 or 2 emails about explain Maya more. In that smoke, everything is touched by smoke. Are you understanding? So you can move things around. they'll be little bit better for little bit time. Many people spend a whole lifetime trying to get that little bit of pleasure. When I will pump the drug, I will get little bit pleasure. When I get drunk at night, I will get little bit pleasure. When I can have sex, even if I pay for it, I will have little bit pleasure. If I can just not do this and do this, I will have little. Right? So that pleasure has meaning. After all, in that choking, smoke-filled room where you can't breathe, so if you can have few breaths, it has meaning. But Vivekachudamani is now saying to those of us, if you want some abiding breaths, some deeper relief, I have a news to tell you. This smoke will disappear. And land can become water and water can become land at your will. And I'm not talking about magic. I'm talking about the mastery, the transcendence of this universe. You understand? Which means land will give you the pleasure of water and water will give you the pleasure of land. You will be wholesome, whole, fulfilled and abidingly at ease no matter where. And whatever you touch will not be filled with this polluted smoke and then you are crying. Oh no, I moved this to this and this also has smoke. Have you seen? How we cry. I changed this with this. I changed my profession. I changed my profession from engineering to nursing, from nursing to being a God person, from being a God person to being a teacher in Tibet, everything. And yet I feel not good. I feel empty. Why? Because we are moving things. So Vivekachudamani says, calm down. Not much point in moving things around outside. Whatever is coming, make the best of it. At the same time, there is another portal for which you have to understand that no outer actions will take you there. What are outer actions? Outer actions are like no outer action of how big, in my case, say I'll give my example. Vedika global, Mandarji becomes very global. Means Vedika becomes global. As in it goes beyond this room and becomes global. Everywhere people are having Vedika meetings, satsangs. Okay? Very well done, Shunyaji, Mandarji will be very proud, I'll be very proud. We're all very happy. Yet, it may be a slightly elevated area in the smoke. And all the time we have to keep the smoke out. If I want to achieve moksha, we have established, which is our goal, which is not just the electrifying goal of some spiritual experience, but the freedom to be in this body or not, how we want to be, how we want to not be, which plane we want to be. We know the secrets of this universe. We are no longer compelled to participate in it. We are the script writers. You like that? That is moksha. So, for moksha, I have to understand a basic difference between good karma, how charitable clinics are everywhere, satsanga is everywhere, everything is everywhere. You are also doing seva. You are, Manaswini is now not cooking for 40 people. She is cooking for 40,000 people through all her students who are doing 40,000 worth of seva. You are understanding. It has no limit to the volume. All of that is serving only one and one goal, through seva, through good karma, through Sandhya Vandanam, through sattvic food. It is doing one and only one thing. It is purifying our mind. And Shankara says, this great Acharya says, mind purification is must. So if you feel that you want moksha, but your mind has these sneaky little negative thoughts, sneaky, they sneak up on you. You didn't mean it. Intellectually, you are convinced of the power of truth, and yet you find yourself speaking a white lie. Have you seen that? Yeah. You are finding that your mind is giving you a lot of challenge. You don't want to yell at your child, at your spouse, at your neighbor, but you end up yelling. If that is happening, mind needs purification, and at that time Shankara says we need karma, and that all karma, action, and we need sattvic karma. But to go beyond that, but then to go beyond the smoke, sattvic karma is like where you can hardly see the smoke, but you are still bound by it. You have still not threaded. You have not still threaded. Is it called threaded? Threaded that veil? No. Punctured that veil? Is that the word?
Yes.
You have not still punctured?
Pierced.
Pierced the veil. You have not pierced the veil of the smoke to come face to face with the reality of your true self, in which the reality of everything lies. And Shankara says, and I say to you as your teacher, why not we try that? Because you don't have to wait for that one day when the veil is pierced. Actually, the way this veil is pierced is, it becomes thinner and thinner. Are you understanding? It becomes thinner and thinner. It's a reality, and we start seeing our own reality so much more that we are still wearing the same clothes. We are still driving those same cars. But because that veil is thinner, we are now navigating this universe not like beggars but like masters. Not like impoverished jivas, but like Atmans who are smiling, saying, oh, I'm not in the rat race. I'm a true leader internally. So this option is possible, and this is called spiritual health. When we are broken, the world is breaking us, the body is breaking us, and we also say, I can't trust my mind. Have you said that? I have said that. In the past, the only thing I could trust my father. I could trust my brothers. My first cousins lived with me in the same house. I could trust my sister, my elder sister, who's no more. I could trust Baba. But you know who I couldn't trust? I couldn't trust my mind. Impulsive, moody, changeable, explosive, with lot of hidden tamas. Now, Baba is not there in his physical body. Sister is not there. Brothers are busy in their lives who are always, it was good. If your big brother took decision for you, you were safe. Sometimes I want them to take decisions for me, but they always write me emails like, we are very proud of you. And that's it. You are left on your own. Right? And Tataji, my father, touch wood, I told him he's aging. I said, you should, I found out they give wheelchair. You can come, you can use it, you don't have to walk so much. My father walked out of the airport dashing in his jeans and shirt, and he says, I didn't take the wheelchair. I do yoga. I loved it. What an inspiration. But you can't always go to your aging father because, it's a matter of prestige. At some point, you have to tell them that you've grown up. Simple as that. Even if you are an acharya. So you want your daddy, but you don't tell your daddy you want your daddy. Because you have to become your own daddy at some point, right? Because how else will we then give relief to our parents? When my father closes his eyes, I want him to know that I did my parenting well, and my child is like a towering person, right? Now, so the goal is when you have no one then, and now I find there is no one I could depend on, new and new challenges every day, unpredictable battles. There is only one friend I have, and it's my mind. How this happened? Oh, you had grace, Shunyaji. I had hard work. This is hard work. What is that hard work? That hard work is called mananam, contemplation. It is called mananam. Constantly talking about the same thing. Even when you talk to each other, discussing the same thing, journaling the same thing. That's why we created the Google group. Reading the same thing. New and new insights to the point that your best friend calls and you say, you know what, I need to go. Because all you want to do is sit and stare in the vacuum and internally contemplate on what is the self and what is the non-self. So this work has to be done. So even I can give you my example because I'm not done. See, I'm a student of my teacher. So what I do is, even when I wake up, so my room is so beautiful, the bedroom that I have, because of the way the sun comes into it. There's a window facing east, there's a window facing north, and you've seen how early the morning comes. And if you've been waiting for the dawn, because I wake up at Brahma Muhurta, the whole room like becomes golden, okay? And it's a very large, spacious room, very beautiful, very clean. So even my first thoughts after my puja is, I'm swimming in a sea of karma, and right now it's a nice one. I don't like think like, wow, I got such a nice room, I got lucky, and I better work hard to afford this payment. No, it's like, okay, my karma has brought me here. My karma has brought me Shanti. My karma has brought me Divya. I must have done something. I must have, planted some good seeds, some flowers, previous lifetime, this lifetime. So I have these flowers in my life. My lesson is keep planting them. So the goal is we are always contemplating on what is connecting with what. So in this shloka, in the last one, we heard that, do you remember? We heard about the yoga ruda state and the balanced state, and we talked about how the Atman, the self, has to do uddhar or pick up the anatman. Do you remember that? Yeah, from last, if you contemplated, you will remember. Otherwise, this will go like a story. Every Thursday we go. That's okay. It can be a story. It's all right. Every Thursday we go, we listen to something nice, then half hour later the same pains come to me. For what I am recommending is you hear with total surrender to this scheme of universal knowledge, and then you become quiet and you contemplate and you watch your own thoughts, and then you will find that your anatman, your non-self, says, I just want to chop off my friend's head right now. And your Atman will laugh and say, come. You will see, you will hear. Okay? So in the next shloka, Samnasya sarva karmani bhava bandha muktaye yat yatam panditai dhairai atma bhyasa upastitai. So Shankara is saying that from release from the bonds of samsara, or this maya, or this smoke-filled existence that I have been born into, okay, after having renounced all karmas. And this gets very misunderstood. Renouncing all karma means I will sit like hand in hand and do nothing. No. Here they are saying about I will renounce my understanding that somehow if I am goody two shoes and doing all the nice and holy things that this world says, I have to renounce my expectation that is leading me to the path. Of course, in different shlokas we have explained to you that those are needed. In fact, the next shloka itself, Shankara says, that is needed for mind purification. So I'll renounce all, in brackets, satkarmas, noble karmas, or karmas with expectations, noble karmas with expectations, and let the wise and the brave ones, Wise is panditai. Pandita. Wise. Who are these wise people? Well, if you've made it to the 10th shloka, you're also bold and courageous. But the wise ones are those who have understood a basic difference that my spiritual health does not lie anywhere and in anybody but in me. The bottom line understanding. And dhira comes from the state of people, these wise people do one more thing, they keep pulling in their senses. So if my senses are very attracted to a human being, this is a cause of concern for me. I am weak here. I recently found out how weak I am. Recently, I was thinking I'm doing well. बीच में हो जाता है. I'm doing well. I am wise. Sometimes we think that. But the other day, I don't know, one student I mentioned that also. I don't know who. Maybe Shreya, I told you about my son coming late. I don't know who I mentioned, but my son, he went to some college, one of the colleges in Hayward, for some college seminar, and it was almost midnight and he didn't come home. And till 11:30 I didn't worry. But the last 30 minutes I felt a worry. So then I was like, now see how contemplate, huh? So it's not like I'm worrying. It was more like, okay, so the responsible mother should worry, check. Okay, I can feel that, so I have to do the needful. I'll send my nephew to go looking for him, and I'll sit in the car and go with him, and I'll tell my husband, blah, blah, blah. What's this other emotion? And you know what? I must confess, I was panicking 50%. This panic has given me so much work now. You understand? So I might have to resign if I can't keep up with this panic. You understand? I'm just telling you. It's not like, oh, I'm sitting here. Okay, let us read. Then I'll go and hyperventilate on my son. No. I am a mumukshu. I am seeing the veil get thinner. I know that even... So at that moment, how did I overcome that panic? For 20 minutes I panicked, but not on the 21st minute. You know, shall I tell you? It was very interesting. One, reminder, smriti, memory. I went to my study where my gods are. Sat down. I surrendered. You know, I didn't surrender to, please find my son. No. I said, please give me Sadbuddhi. Om Bhurбhuvasvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam. Give me Sadbuddhi. Why am I panicking? You are the biggest GPS. You are looking after him. Sadbuddhi. By the third Gayatri, I was back. By the fourth Gayatri, I was all right, Dhruv. Let's see what life holds for you. By the ninth Gayatri, I was in the car calm. But 20 minutes, I panicked. But if I didn't have Mananam, Shravanam, Mananam, and then the third one, what is this third one? We have to investigate. For only 5-10 minutes. It is called putting it into practice. Like I got this Nididhyasana, which is like, it is not an asana. Many people, many books will say, it's like meditating. No. In life, did Krishna have said, okay, the war bugle is going, I will sit and meditate? Meditation, what does meditation mean? It means immediately connecting to a deeper resource inside. That is meditation. Do you agree? So living meditation, meditation on the war, meditation while childbirth, meditation while cooking the food. You understand? Meditation while looking for a lost teenager. Meditation. So you are at that time, the moment you connect to the self, the reality changes. the smoke screen starts getting thinner. And for the one who's always connected, like I told you, the different categories of jivas, some are happy to be under the net. Some fishes are happy to be under that net, and they keep thinking, do I want to be under the golden net or the silver net? Literally in the corporate world, it's also called golden net, right? If you buy this vacation home and you buy this house, and it's a golden net, a portfolio. Net. Some people, they are just so happy that even if you give them $1 million to come to satsang, they won't come. I am happy in my net. Another one will be at least biting the net, saying, I feel bound. A third one would have somehow escaped. And the fourth one would have been reborn after escaping. We're having fun in the ocean and saying, I'm never getting, there's no net. I'm not walking into it. You understand? That is called the Param-mukta, always free. And the one that is under the net is the Baddha. They are always caught. Right? So at least, why we don't need to hear about boyfriend, girlfriend, or why we don't need to learn about the satsang, and what will you do if your son doesn't come home at 12:30? Because if you can surrender to some higher reality internally and up there, or down here or back here, I don't know, everywhere, at that time the paradigm shifts. A unique power comes within us of discrimination, emotion control, experience, and then what maybe will be, but we are riding through this. You understand? So the goal is not to have small solutions. The goal is to have the mega solution. And that mega solution is to really go inside and really start contemplating. In fact, the next shloka also I should read. Chittasya shuddhaye karma natu vastu palabdhaye vastu siddhi vicharena na kimchit karma kotibhi. Very short. It says, what are these good karmas for? These good karmas are for the purification of the mind and for understanding the nature of an object. This is very important. So for example, when we have a relationship, for example, it can be maternal, paternal, child relationship, spouse, romantic, any relationship. When we start doing sat karmas or positive karmas, we not only purify our mind, it's just an opportunity, but we also ultimately, through these experiences, we get an opportunity to understand what is sat, what is asat, what is real, what is non-real, what is nitya, what is anitya, without losing ourselves. Are you understanding? And then it says, is the teacher here, Dr. Sharma? Samyak vicharatah siddha lamp. Rajju tattva vadharana bhranta yodit mahasarpa bhava dukkha vinashani. Mahasarpa, this is a very classic shloka number 12. Very classic example of Vedanta. The example in Vedanta, the Mahasarpa. Sarpa means snake. So this is the snake that in this universe also, ordinary person will say, it's very difficult. I don't know why I was born. I don't want to live. You know, many people, they're suffering a lot. So these poor things, they come to me and say, Shunyaji, even in my mother's womb, I knew I didn't want to, live. And when I was born, I developed disease. I think it was a proof that I didn't want to live. Then I have people who come to me, they are suffering a lot mentally, physically, emotionally. They say things like, Shunyaji, I am out of my body a lot. I don't like to be in my body. I don't like to be connected. And oftentimes I found out it is due to emotional abuse, sexual abuse, lot of disconnection with, being here now and having a good time. because that which is our birthright is denied from us. We have all these versions of the world. It is hard, it is doggy dog, it is cruel, it leaves us alone, it gives us dukkha, it is horrible, it's biting me from every area, I am betrayed, I am scared, I am alone, what is there left but to die, to curl up and die? The snake. But it's like a snake, it will poison me, it will bite me. But Vedanta says, we will walk into a room, light is very less, and we get very scared because we see something curled up there, and we start sweating and hyperventilating and panicking, and we are running, and maybe a teacher, or they don't explain how, but somehow the light in the room is brought about, or the knowledge, the lamp of knowledge is lit, and we realize, Arey, there is no snake. It's just a rope. In the same way, the so-called difficulties under which we are drowning, and they are biting us, and we are running and feeling poisoned and feeling compelled to bite others as a result, passing the snake, so to say. In reality, there is a rope. And Baba used to say, this rope is hanging from heaven for us to hold on to. Like heaven is within us, so there is no, in Vedanta there is no one heaven, but what he meant was, it's a good thing. So what happened between the snake and the rope? Same human being, but knowledge is there. Same human being, light is there to be able to discriminate. Is it live? Is it dead? Is it moving? Is it not moving? Can it really hurt me? Or am I the master? So these kind of changes have taken place. How? Because I listened to what? Great knowledge, Shastric knowledge, Shruti, Aptavakya, which is from blameless sages and has come down the centuries. And then I did Shravanam, I did Mananam, and then I practiced it in my daily life. Wherever I could employ it, I tried it. I tried being bigger. I tried being larger. I tried being a little detached. I tried being a little silent. I tried being more truthful. I tried not caring that much of the end result, but living for the truth and dharma. And that is called practicing what I had heard, what I had contemplated and familiarized with myself, and then I practiced it. And sometimes what happens is, people listen, they want to practice, but they have not done mananam. Sometimes we come across something on TV or something, or a book, that's great. But can you remove the benefit of this week by week, by the hour, layer by layer, exposure to what is your truth, by knowing what you are not? And so therefore, how should we convert the snake of our existence into the rope? And yes, good karmas, employ them assiduously for your purification of the mind, because without a pure mind, the mind spins the smoke. I'll just say one more thing. When we fall asleep, there are 4 states. There is a awake state of consciousness, there is a dream state of consciousness, there is a deep sleep state of consciousness, and then there is sushupti avastha, or transcendental state of consciousness. These are all coming up in shlokas, so I'll just go over it. In the awake state, we have a lot of suffering. Or even if we have joy, it is punctuated by fear of suffering returning. Right? It's never free. Never free. In dream, senses are asleep, but mind is still projecting on the screen. Oh, good, bad. Right? Picks from the sun. It has internal objects, not external objects, to feel the suffering. When I was thirsty, awake, I needed awake world water. But when you are thirsty in your dream, Do you think dream water will satisfy you or this regular Fiji water? Which one? Dream water. And you can be sleeping in a water bed, but you can be having the dream of being thirsty, nobody giving you water, and you're suffering. So second round of suffering begins. Some kind, searching, suffering. Even if some illusion comes, good thing, then we go. Mental objects. Then there is, for few minutes, there is a state of very deep sleep. No dream, no awake world. We say, what happened to consciousness at that time? I am still there, but my mind, along with the sense organs, it all goes into a seed state. There is no mind also now. When there is no mind, interestingly, mind has gone into a very small seed sleeping state, along with the sense organs. No matter, my house is burning, but I was deep sleep. So in that 5 minutes, do I feel the pain of the house burning? No. Do I have the pain of the dream of the house burning? No. And we call it, for 5 minutes I slept. And the one who cannot have this 5 minutes of sleep, they become manic. They become crazy. Why? Because at 5 minutes we need a break from the senses and the mind. So, but the smoke was still there. We live in the smoke world. The bed is in the smoke universe. Why we didn't suffer? Because our Shastras clarify. Suffering doesn't require just smoke, maya, ignorance. It requires mind plus suffering, mind plus maya, mind plus smoke. So the moment our mind awakens, whether in dream or awake state, all right, put the hat and start crying. But for that few moments that the mind sleeps, we are still in maya, no suffering. And that is why our yogis got busy not trying to change the world. Smoke in itself cannot do anything to us. It is the mind. And so if we can purify this mind, then it can exist in this smoke-filled world and not suffer. Are you understanding? And that is why the 3 core tools of Gurukul education is satsanga, to first clean, pure, sadhana, which is almost like you're practicing it, and then seva. As your veil becomes thinner, you start feeling rich, healthy, abundant, forgiving. And when you give medicine, it's not just medicine. Now when you give this Ayurvedic medicine after you employed a lot of knowledge and skill in it, now when you give the medicine, it has become Amrit, elixir. Your presence, your face, your voice, your sheer memory will bring relief in the suffering one. This has been forgotten. Yesterday the great teacher who came, he was just talking to me one-on-one, Mandarji, and he said, one of the reasons I really like coming to Vedika is, everywhere I see, education is being promoted in how to make a living. But our sages, education was all about how to transform yourself and become abundant and generous as a result. So here at Vedika, I see, but I could not respond because other people walked in. I wanted to say, nothing new I have done. This is the old machinery of the sages that we have re-employed. This is the Gurukul method. And that is why every week when Tueri will read to you that paragraph, you close your eyes and you give yourself permission to be free of existential suffering and to dare to have a spiritual dialogue and to dare to embody the truths of Ayurveda, Yoga and Vedanta so that you can become transformed leaders within yourself and then walk out there, and whether you're a homemaker or you are a practitioner or a public speaker, people will leave transformed in your presence. Okay? So with this we end. Sorry we went 5 minutes over, but we will keep with our time sadhana.